The Spot Bitcoin ETFs are approved. They're trading live right now. Finally, it's over. And what happens next with Bitcoin?
When Lambo, I'm such a degen.
Welcome to Degenny from the blockchain, where we defy logic. And in this episode, the saga of the Spot Bitcoin ETF. Finally, after years, maybe even a decade in the making, it's finally here. And boomers and other people that don't want to hold Bitcoin or think it's a scam can now say, okay, it's safe for me to throw some money in it now. Welcome to the show. So let's take a look at the last 48 hours, or a little 2-day time span, if you will, from this moment, because there was a lot that happened. We really have to digest this. First, it started on January 9th, where it appeared that the SEC approved the Spot Bitcoin ETFs. But we know that this post here, that's a screenshot now, was a hack, I guess, or at least it was not real. It was fake, saying that it grants approval for the Bitcoin ETF. But I posted here yesterday that the key piece of evidence that nobody's talking about is the fact that Spot doesn't appear anywhere in this hack news approval of the Bitcoin ETF post from the SEC X account. So I didn't see Spot in there at all. Now it's suspicious to me. And of course, there was no verification on January 9th here from any of the insiders or big players that were posting anything. So that was clearly not real. But then we move forward to Alex O Crypto. This guy's a legend. He was live all day on January 10th for the approval day. Look at that. Nearly 9 hours of live streaming was Alex O Crypto. Go follow him. Go subscribe to his YouTube channel. This guy is awesome. It was so exciting. The energy around right when it was approved, and we didn't know what was happening. Is this real? Is it not? People are saying it's approved, but the website is down. It all appeared here on Alex O Crypto's live stream, and I just wanted to shout out to you, man, for being live for nearly 9 hours that day yesterday. That was legendary. Go follow, go subscribe. So then all afternoon leading up to 4 p.m., shout out to T. Shroom from Investing Bros. He was telling us, and rightfully so, that because of the hack, the only news that we should be following is officially, right, is going to be any press release from the SEC that you can find on this sec.gov/news/press releases. But as you can see, even right now, as I refresh this, there is still no press release on the Spot Bitcoin ETF. So you go into the tab of speeches and statements, and this is where Gary Gensler posted a statement of the approval on Spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. So let's read real quick. You've already seen this. We don't have to go through it all, but this is the statement from Gary Gensler. Today, the commission approved the listing and trading of a number of Spot Bitcoin exchange traded products. Shares. I have often said that the commission acts within the law and how the courts interpret the law. Beginning under Chair Jay Clayton in 2018 and through March 2023, the commission disapproved more than 20 exchange rule filings for Spot Bitcoin ETPs. One of those filings, made by Grayscale, contemplated the conversion of the Grayscale Spot Bitcoin Trust into an ETP. So we know this history. It basically goes on to say we're faced with a new set of filings similar that have been disapproved in the past. Circumstances, however, have changed. So yes, the world is ever evolving. Like Bitcoin hit $1 trillion in market cap, well over that in the last bull run, and it's near that right now. At this point, you would think at the beginning of a nice big bull market. So obviously the world's changing. Bitcoin is here to stay. There's no reason to deny these after years and years of what we see is modifications of all these people's applications. Anyway, the courts, the U.S. Court of Appeals of D.C. held that the commission failed to adequately explain its reasoning in disapproving the listing and trading of Grayscale's proposed ETP. So he goes in detail of all that, and basically There you go. There you go. At the end here. This is like the Gary Gensler just, it's like his arm was twisted and he just has to approve it now. And he says, while we approved the listing and trading of certain Spot Bitcoin ETP shares today, we did not approve or endorse Bitcoin. You don't approve Bitcoin, but you're going to say people can get exposure to it now. I mean, you're the Security Commission. I mean, if you're saying it's okay to do it, then you do approve, or you don't have to endorse Bitcoin, but you do approve that this is adequate for people who want to put their money in it. Okay? Just saying. Investors should remain cautious about the myriad risks associated with Bitcoin and products whose value is tied to crypto. Thanks for the warning. We'll move on. Okay. Yep. So that's from Gary Gensler. And what's next now that the Spot Bitcoin ETF is approved? If we quickly just jump back in, I want to share this on Sin City Crypto. So I was watching everybody's live streams yesterday because the excitement was so palpable. I could feel it from all the hosts on various channels and within myself. It was just so exciting. It reminded me a lot of when FTX went down. It was like the culmination of a horrible 2022. Yeah, when FTX went down, it was a culmination of a horrible 2022 where so much insolvency occurred and scams, and crypto really went down into a dark hole and people were just fudding it like crazy. And it's funny how quickly that can change. But with those bad players out, yeah, you can talk good about it now. That's what we need, is to get the scams out of here of crypto. But anyway, FTX, I was watching Sin City Crypto like all night when that dropped, because they went live for it for a while and for multiple days. And it was really fun to be with a community and surround yourself with people that believe in the space for such a hard time that was. So I just want to shout out Sin City Crypto as well. And I love the points that David here makes, and Robin as well. But he brings up, this was before the approval, but we're going to assume it's after the approval now, and we're talking about what's next for Bitcoin. So let's take a listen, and I'll react off of it.
This is on CNBC. Listen to what he had to say. What he thinks Bitcoin can get to with this ETF.
Yeah, just to end on, give me your 1 year and 5 year price target for Bitcoin.
I think in the next 12 months, something over 100,000, maybe 150,000. And, in the next 5 years, again, there's a finite supply, and now we have a potentially huge increase in demand with a Spot Bitcoin approval. So I think in 5 years, something around 500,000 would be potentially achievable.
Boris, let me ask you first. Let's start with the 1 year. In 12 months, 150K. Is that undercutting it, or do you think that's right around where you're kind of thinking? And of course, this is all speculation.
A little bit on the high side.
You think that's on the high side? Why are you so bearish on Bitcoin, man? Boris, you understand, bro.
I think an asset's gonna 3x.
Yes.
3x.
Boris,
3x.
We got BlackRock lining up $2 billion to drop into this thing on the first day. You don't think it's gonna grow? I don't know about exponentially, but you don't think it's gonna grow massively as people start seeing, hey, I just bought a Bitcoin Spot ETF. My portfolio is up 60%. And we're talking not tens of thousands. We're talking about millions of dollars. $114 trillion is being actively managed by money market funds or by companies like BlackRock. You don't think those people are going to see their friends and family who have access now to Bitcoin ETF? They're going to be like, well, I want to make some money. You don't think that's going to happen?
Yeah, I think all of that will happen, but I think the end result will probably be somewhere between 125 and 150.
You are crazy,
that's a 3x in price.
You are
that's
crazy.
That's a 3x in price in the next year, in the next 12 months. So by the end of 2024, in the next 12 months, I think a 3x out of Bitcoin would be a massive win. I think that's a little on the on the high side too. I think 150K by the end of this year. If that I'll be thrilled. Don't get me wrong. We get 150K by the end of this year, like there'd be no excuse for me to not be retired with my crypto exposure that I've got. I'll be thrilled, trust me. But I don't know. I think, you start getting into like 200, 250K price targets, it gets a little bit iffy. I mean, remember, we only last market cycle, which was a big market cycle, and we had quantitative easing on our side. We went from 19K, roughly 20K, previous all-time high, to 70K, roughly all-time high, a 3.5x. Every single time we've seen diminishing returns. Even if we got a 3.5x off of our previous, so 3.5x off of 69K, that would be like your 250K targets. But we've gotten diminishing returns every time. I think 150K. I think 125 to 150K is like solid Bitcoin performance. And these asset managers are thrilled to have a 20% year. They're over the moon to have a 20% year on their portfolios. If they add Bitcoin and Bitcoin's up 100% or 200% at the end of the year, they're sellers. I don't think that they're buyers at 150K. I think they're sellers. If they get in at 50 and it goes to 100, I think they're sellers.
And I forgot to mention Forrest was a guest on the show too. So Forrest there is kind of reeling this back into reality that this is an extremely bullish event, right? But he reminds us that $100,000, $150,000 Bitcoin is a lot. But if we go back to that 12-month prediction, so January 2025, we're saying $100,000 to $150,000 is suitable for Bitcoin, because if 2024 is our bull run, 2025 might be the top. And early on, because if you go back to 2021, the spring was the first top, and it was the top for a lot of coins, actually. So if everything is kind of sliding up now, 100 to 150,000 could be the top, and it could be in about 12 months. We just got to think about that, right? It might only be January 2025, might be the top. We could be about a year away from those $100,000, $150,000 targets, and that could be the top. You just have to think about that. So we're talking about what's next for Bitcoin. I know we're super bullish on this, and we all should be, but we do have to remember that, we want to take profits, and maybe you want to keep some for a long hold of Bitcoin, but just, if you're trying to find the top somewhere, we're getting close to a parabolic run. Everything just could be shifting up a few months to maybe 6 months, and it might happen in about a year, which would be crazy to think about, because for the longest time we were wondering when the next halving is going to come, and now we're within a year of a potential top in Bitcoin. Just saying. But if we scroll back, there was actually a comment. Can I go back? Scroll up. There was a comment by Hogzilla that I saw. Come on. That's actually pretty, you know what? I did save it. I just saw it live. I thought maybe I could go to it. But if we just take it here, he said, Gary Gensler is going to ride off into the historical sunset as the guy who approved the Bitcoin ETF. Yeah. I mean, when we look back in history, when Bitcoin came to the masses, let's say, in one form or another, because obviously we know this is cash in, cash out, and nobody's holding Bitcoin except the custodians of these spot Bitcoin ETFs. But Hogzilla is reminding us that Gary, as bad as he has been and how much everybody hates him, he's actually going to be the one on paper in history that approved these spot Bitcoin ETFs. That's just something noteworthy there, that he's always going to be remembered. But going back now to the Mr. Gold, Peter Schiff, he said January 10th, right around the approval or right after the approval, he says, in addition to all the previously existing ways to gamble on Bitcoin, love the words he chooses, right? There are now 11 more ways for speculators to place their bets. The problem for the bulls is now what's left to bet on. It's just too bad that Bitcoin itself has no actual real world utility like gold. What's gold's utility? Store value. What's Bitcoin's utility? Store value. You could actually say that Bitcoin has way more of a utility than gold, because we've seen articles of people trying to transport gold in their bags cross border, and they are stopped and they have their gold taken, or they can't get through. Bitcoin, you can take your Bitcoin anywhere as long as you have your keys, and you can actually pay people in Bitcoin, real Bitcoin on the blockchain. Try shipping a bar of gold. I don't know if that's going to work. So, yeah, of course he was going to come out and say something like this, but you know, the SEC approved Spot Bitcoin ETFs. It must say something about Bitcoin. And then just a couple more things of note here. Eleanor Tourette, a wonderful reporter, she is mentioning here, this is just a couple hours ago, that Vanguard Group, we're down here on this post here. Vanguard Group, the world's second largest asset manager behind BlackRock, is reportedly blocking its customers from buying into the new Spot Bitcoin ETF, saying the products, quote, don't fit with Vanguard's investment philosophy. You will lose out. I have nothing more to say about that. Investment philosophy of what? Making money? You know, of having something that most likely, like to the most 100% that you can get as closest to that, cannot be manipulated. I mean, now we'll start to see how institutional TradFi feels about Bitcoin. Just because the SEC has allowed these ETFs to exist doesn't mean the private sector has to accept them. That's correct. Crypto skepticism is still alive and well on Wall Street. So that's what this video is about, is just kind of seeing the other side of how exciting and bullish this is for all of us in crypto, is that there still is a lot of skeptics out there and a whole other side of this thing. Eleanor Tourette bringing us both sides. She is a legend as well. She's awesome. So that was posted January 11th at 12:37 p.m. And she also says Merrill Lynch currently not allowing their customers access to Bitcoin spot ETFs. Reading along, according to a source who received guidance from the company earlier this week, Merrill is waiting to see whether the ETFs trade efficiently before making any decisions to change their internal policy, which currently does not allow for these kinds of products. So we're talking about philosophy of investing and policies within these big financial institutions not allowing crypto, or Bitcoin in this case, to be on their platforms. And the reasoning is for Merrill is waiting to see whether the ETFs trade efficiently. So this goes along with the rhetoric that when you wait to see if something is accepted, you're too late, right? You want to get in before all the FOMO comes in and before the confirmation that this is here to stay, because you want to reap the benefits of innovation and of technology and of being the first person, the first mover into these things. And this is what traditional financial people go through, is they just wait for a lot of indications before they get into things. How is that done? How does that, see how that works out for you is what I'm saying. You know, if you have millions of dollars, sure, go buy some bonds, go, invest with Fidelity or Merrill Lynch with their safe products, and you'll do fine, because a 5% yield on millions of dollars is a lot of money. Nobody's faulting you for that. But people like me who are just trying to make a better future for themselves and their family, and maybe people like you that are watching, we have to take risks. We're not doing it because we are reckless. We're doing it because we are desperate. Full screen. We take risks. We don't do it because we're reckless with our money. We're doing it because we're desperate to survive in this inflated world. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so back to X. And then we have here from Sam Price, Crypto Lifer. He says he's quoting Tim Buckley, the Vanguard CEO, that we just saw. Eleanor Tourette said Vanguard is not allowing these spot Bitcoin ETFs just yet. So he's quoting Tim Buckley saying, Quote, unlike stocks and bonds, most cryptocurrencies lack intrinsic economic value and generate no cash flows such as interest payments or dividends. So Tim Buckley, the CEO of Vanguard, is saying that in order for something to be successful, it needs to generate interest payments or dividends or generate cash flow to be successful. Well, Bitcoin is roughly around $1 trillion in market cap right now. Crypto as a whole previously was around a $3 trillion market cap at the peak of the last bull run in 2021. That's a lot of money. That is simply just a lot of money. And some of those products don't, including Bitcoin, don't generate cash flows. Or actually, the miners do. The miners are paid. So it kind of does generate a cash flow per se. But I see where Tim Buckley's coming from. He's just trying to come up with a narrative that Bitcoin has no intrinsic value, which if we the people say it does, it does. And the miners probably say it does. So that, I don't know, bye-bye Vanguard, as Sam Price, as Crypto Lifer is saying here. That's what I have to say about it. But now, how much volume is coming into the Spot Bitcoin ETFs? So we have something here from the Wall Street Journal, January 11th, 2:11 Eastern. Stock market today, S&P 500 slips after December CPI report. Bitcoin trades around 46,000 after ETFs get the go-ahead. So let's look here. I'm not a subscriber to Wall Street Journal, so it's only going to give me a few bullet points, but we can read it. Spot Bitcoin ETFs trading volume crosses $2 billion. So with just the first trading day of these Spot Bitcoin ETFs, $2 billion has come in. $2 billion has come in. That's not including people that are actually holding their own Bitcoin, who have their own Bitcoin, who are participating in Web3 and on blockchain and crypto with self-custody. This is just through these Spot Bitcoin ETFs on day one, $2 billion. The first batch of U.S. Spot Bitcoin exchange-traded funds crossed $2 billion in trading volume as of 11 a.m., according to Bloomberg data. Grayscale Investments, BlackRock, and Fidelity are the winners so far. No surprise there. It says here, if we read along as it turns gray, the $28.6 billion Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which converted into an ETF, led the pack with more than $970 million in trading volume as of just this morning. You would assume it's over $1 billion right now. BlackRock's iShares Bitcoin Trust came in second with more than $584 million in trading volume. It's possible by the end of the day or this week that BlackRock has over $1 billion itself in trading volume in the Spot Bitcoin ETF. And Fidelity's Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund traded about $373 million worth of shares. Absolutely incredible. And as we start to close out this video from here at Neo NFTs on X, what does the SEC approval of Bitcoin ETFs mean for you? Consider this historical context. In 2004, the first ever spot ETF for gold launched. Prior to this, the total gold market cap was $1 trillion to $2 trillion, just what we talked about with Bitcoin. And after that gold ETF approval, it grew to $16 trillion over time. Bitcoin could be bigger than this, says Neo NFTs with a Z on X. Wow. Was there anything relevant here? I don't think so. So if we just go to take the $16 trillion number and go to Coin Perspective and plug it in for Bitcoin, a $16 trillion market cap with the amount of supply that's out right now, and we know that it's going to change in April after the halving, that would be an $816,495 Bitcoin if it got to a $16 trillion market cap. So you can see the number it needs to get to that, $1 million mark that we all want to see for Bitcoin in the future. This is so far ahead in the future. We're just talking about what could happen with Bitcoin. We've seen crazy things happen. This would be another crazy thing, but of course it could happen. $16 trillion in Bitcoin market cap seems a lot, something that's hard to fathom right now, but fast forward 10, 20 years, possible, of course, just to show you that's an $816,495 Bitcoin if it had a $16 trillion market cap. So there it is, the Spot Bitcoin ETF Saga, we just played it out digitally here for 20 minutes or so on Degenny from the blockchain. I appreciate you tuning in. We saw what happened before and after the approval and speculation on price, and what big investment institutions are choosing to do and not do with their Spot Bitcoin ETFs or lack thereof, and how much money is actually flowing into these on day one of trading. It's in the billions of dollars. Where could Bitcoin's market cap end up in the next 12 months? Forrest says it's possible it could get to a 3x from $100,000 to $150,000, as the clip on Sin City Crypto showed you. David from Sin City Crypto thinks it could go a lot more. I personally think that in 12 months puts us January 2025, six-figure Bitcoin. I would say yes, if we're nearing the peak of the bull run already. We've seen in the past cycle in 2021, the peak was in the spring, April, May of 2021 at $69,000. There's some other speculation there that FTX was suppressing the price of crypto as a whole, kind of manipulating the markets. So it could have gone higher. But now that we have Spot Bitcoin ETFs, it's possible that it could go a lot higher than what we thought. But over time, you would think it is just going to keep rising up, right? So one thing to think about is the price, the actual price of Bitcoin. You know, it's one thing to get into these Spot Bitcoin ETFs. You're not really holding the Bitcoin. You're just putting your money somewhere. But the holders of Bitcoin, are you going to buy Bitcoin that's $100,000? Are you going to buy Bitcoin that's $150,000? Or are you just going to buy the ETF? Mainstream is probably just going to buy the ETF. How much is that actually going to push the price if money is just going into these ETFs rather than the actual price of Bitcoin? They are going to need to buy up that Bitcoin, of course, right? Because it's supposed to be 1-for-1 or a spot Bitcoin ETF. So time will tell. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Bitcoin, when is Bitcoin's peak? Is it going to be January 2025? I think I'm saying that officially now, because I just think everything's going to be pushed up because of this Spot Bitcoin ETF, and we already see FOMO coming in and retail money coming in. So this could be the start of something. The halving is coming up also in April, as mentioned, and there could be lawsuits from Coinbase that are won against the SEC that could push the price even higher. I think 2024 could be bullish. I've changed my tune, thinking 2025 is going to be the peak. I definitely don't think we're going to wait another a year and 10 months or a year and 9 months for the peak of 2025 in the fall. I don't think that's on the table anymore at all. I think it's going to come much earlier, possibly in the next 12 months. What do you think about that and this whole Bitcoin spot ETF saga that is officially done, and we can move forward with some really fun crypto news and speculation again over the next 12 months? Leave your comments below. Always do your own research. Don't even listen to me, really. These are just my opinions. This is not financial advice. Always do your own research. It's just my blockchain reaction. Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching to the very end. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, drop a comment, and share the video. Follow me on X at Degenny Crypto, and please enjoy the next episode or my suggestion to the left.